Hi, this is a continuation from our lesson on Friday where we were doing geometry review. Now, if you turn to the back of your geometry booklet with the practice exam on it, it says Common Test 3 revision. You go to the back page. We were looking at these questions: calculate the size of angle X in each of these cases and give reasons. So the reason here we know that X plus 24 makes up a right angle. So to find X, if you cover that up, it's the right angle, and if we take away the 24, we'll end up with what X is, which is 90 minus 24 is 66 degrees. With this one here as well, we know we've got a right angle. So to find X, it will be 90, take away this 50-degree angle and take away the 11-degree angle. So we'll be doing 90 minus 50 minus 11, which is 29 degrees. Okay, so the first one was 66 degrees and the second answer is 29 degrees. And this one here, we can see that we've got a 90-degree angle. So we'll do 90, take away the number that we've got, which is 58. So that means that these two angles here are equal to 58 degrees. And because it says X and X, it means that they're the same. So X and X equals 58. So to find X, we do 58 divided by 2 and we get 29 degrees. Now, for question 5, you have to find the size of angle P in each of those questions A, B, and C and give reasons. Okay, now these look a little bit small, so I'll zoom in a little bit more. Okay. Now you have to see what sort of angle you have before you start these questions. Now in the first question, just put a red line over where your angles go and we can see that we've got a straight angle. So that means where this red arc is, that all of this adds up to 180. So to work out P, we do 180 minus 38, gives me what P is, and that will be 142 degrees. In my next question, again, if I just do a little line around, or an arc it's called, around all these angles, I can see that those three angles form a straight line. So P, this angle here, will be 180 minus those other two angles. So it's 180 minus 58 and minus 67 degrees. So you now get your calculator out, and work that out. On the calculator, we get 55 degrees. Now here is part C of that same question. Again, these three angles make up 180 degrees. Now we've also got a little right angle here, so I know that this angle in here is 90. So therefore P is 180, take away those other two angles. So take away 90 and take away 16. And when you do that on your calculator, you will get 74 degrees. Okay, so those are all straight lines. So if it says find the angle of P, give reasons, the reasons for all of these will be that it is a straight angle or a straight line. Okay, in question 6, we've got 3 questions here again. We did do one of them in class, but if you see where these angles, see both these angles here that we've got make up a revolution. And a revolution is 360 degrees. So to find the size of M, it's 360, take away 128. And if you do that on your calculator, you will get 232 degrees. Okay, looking at our next question again, let's look at all these angles that I've got. 1, 2, 3. And those 3 angles again, all 3 of them together form a revolution. So to find M, it will be 360 because that's the total of all of them. Then we just take away the other 2. So take away 153 and take away 148. You can do that on your calculator. And doing that on your calculator, you get 59 degrees. Now with this last question, let's just see the angles that we've got. I'm going to start from here. I've got this angle here, that one, and this one here. So I've got 3 angles. And the 3 of those angles together form a revolution. So if I want to find this angle down here, I have to start with 360 and I have to take away the other 2 angles. Now, this angle in here with the right angle symbol is 90, so I take away the 90 and I take away the 44, and that leaves me with m. So take away 90 and take away 44. And if you do that on your calculator, you will get 226 degrees. So the reason for, it says give reason. So what's the reason that we use to work these all out? The reason is that we've got a revolution. Okay? Okay, now in question 7. When two lines cross each other, you will form two angles, and they are called vertically opposite angles. And if you look, they're both acute, they're both opposite each other, and they will both be equal. So y is equal to 62 degrees, and the reason is vertically opposite angles. Okay, so looking at these, my two lines cross, and the opposite angle to the 123 is this Q. So therefore Q is 123 degrees, and the reason is vertically opposite angles. Now also with part C, these two lines cross each other. This C is opposite to this 21. So therefore C equals 21 degrees, and the reason again is vertically opposite angles. Okay, so that's question 7. Now, in question 8, we're jumping to question 9. The next question is question 9, and you've got 3 questions here. So these questions are a little bit harder than the questions that you've just done, but you'll still use the same ideas. So if we look at this first question, we look for the type of angle that we've got from there to there, and we know that it's a right angle. So it means that all those 3 angles add up to 90, and because they're all called A, and A, they're all the same size. So that means that one of A plus A is 90, or A is 90 divided by 3, because there are 3 angles the same size that make up the 90 degrees. So we're dividing the 90 degrees into 3 equal sizes. So therefore A is 30 degrees, and the reason is we've got the right angle. So our reason is that we've got a right angle. Okay, in the next question, let's just see what angle we've got. So we've got all the way from there to there, and that makes a straight line. But we know that this bit here is also 90. So what we do 180. We're trying to work out these x's here. So we'll do 180 minus 90, and that gives me 90 degrees. So that means that this bit over here is also 90. Now we know that these 2 x's, and they're the same, they add up to 90. So to work out the x, it's going to be 90 divided by 2, which is 45 degrees. Okay? Now the reason for all of this is that I've got a straight angle or a straight line. Okay? Now, in my last question, let's just mark out the angle. I've got all of this. So whatever reason I'm going to give, it's going to be a straight line. That's my reason, or a straight angle. Now, I know that all of that adds up to 180. So what I'm going to do to work out, I'm going to do 180, take away the angle that I know. So 180 minus 100 is 80. So if this bit here is 100, then the rest of this is all 80. Okay, now there are 1, 2, 3, 4 parts that make up the 80, and they're all the same size because they're all called the same pronumeral or letter. So R is, one of those R's will be 80 divided into 4 parts, which is 20 degrees. So the value of each of these pronumerals is 20. So if I write those in, 20, 20, 20, 20, I've got 100 and 20, 40, 60, 180. Okay? Right, now for the last question. Similar sort of thing. I've got, let's mark out the angle that we've got. So my angle goes there, there, all the way around. So I've got a revolution. So the reason will be that I've got a revolution. And now we want to see how many angles we've got. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 angles of the same size making a revolution. Now we know that a revolution is 360 degrees, so one of those angles will be 360 divided by 6, which is 60 degrees. So that's the size of P. So each of those will be 60, and that's how we form 360. Okay, looking at the next question, let's see what sort of angle we've got. We can start here. It doesn't matter where you start, and we go all the way around. So again, we've got a revolution. So we know that this bit is 160, so I'm going to do 360 take away 160, and doing that on your calculator you get 200 degrees. So if this bit's 160, the rest of this, all of that, is 200. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts that make up 200, and they're all the same. So one of the x's will be 200 divided by 5, which is 40 degrees. Okay? So that's 40 degrees. And now with the last one, we've got, again, what sort of angle? We've got a revolution. Now let's see if we know the size of any angles. That's a right angle, which is 90, and so is that. So our reason again is a revolution. And we know a revolution is 360 degrees. So we're going to go 360 minus this one and minus that one is 180 degrees. So I've taken these two away, the minus 90 and the minus 90. So I've still got 1, 2, 3 R's that make up the remaining 180 degrees. So that R and that R and that R all add up to 180, and they're all the same size. So one of the R's is 180 divided by 3, which is 60 degrees. Okay, now that is that back page done now. We're going to now go back to the page before this back page. So we're just going to turn one page over. Okay, now we're on the reverse side of the page that you were just doing. And look, girls, these questions are a little bit trickier. There are 2 steps for these. But what we're doing, we've got the parallel lines. So this is what you're doing. You're looking for your Z angles. You're looking for your C co-interior angles. Sorry, you can't see those properly. And we're looking for our F angles, which are corresponding angles. So we're looking for, this first type is called alternate. The C is for co-interior. And this F is corresponding. Sorry, I'm running off the page. Corresponding. Sorry, I was just running out of room. So it's CORRESPONDING. Okay, so we're looking for those shapes. So what you'll do, you'll come over here to your first question. Girls, now even though we've got alternate, you can do forward Zs, backward Zs, whatever you can do. Now, I'm going to try and do a Z, but this one's a backward Z, see? So inside the Z, see, I can do my Z like this. If you just look over here, I can do a backward Z. Okay, now inside those little bits of the Z, the angles are equal. So because I've done a Z and in those little bits they're equal, I've got that A is 61 degrees. The reason is that they are alternate angles. If you remember from yesterday, we said to alternate means going from one side to the other. So, but you also must say that you've got parallel lines, because we can see the parallel line symbols there. So we've worked out what A is. It's the same as that one. And the other thing is when you've got those two, like you've got those two intersections, all the acute angles will actually be the same size, okay? Now for B, if A is 61, I'm going to write that in here. If you look at across here, we've got a straight line here. So A and B make up a straight line, which is 180. So I've got that B is 180 minus 61. And on your calculator, you can work out that that's 190 degrees. And the reason why we were able to work out B was that we've got a straight line. Okay, now for the next question. So that was the first question. Now we're going to do the second one. Okay, let's see what we can do. Can we do a Z? Well, if I try and do a Z, this one's in, but there's nothing there. So I can try and do a C. So that is the co-interior angle. But this is 110. This one is acute, so it's actually a different size. Now there's a special rule for co-interior angles. They're not equal. Co-interior angles add up to 180. So the 110 and the C will add up to 180. So C is 180 minus 110, which is 70 degrees. And the reason I was able to work that out is that they are co-interior angles. But you must also say parallel lines. Okay, so we've worked out C. Now, just looking here a bit as well, we can see that C and D are opposites. So I can say that D, you know how we've just worked out that C is 70, well, D is opposite to C. If I continue that line, they're opposites. So D is also 70. And the way we say opposites in geometry, we call it vertically opposite. So they're vertically opposite angles. Okay, now for the last one here. Let's see if we can find Z or C. Look, we do have a C, but we've also got an alternate here. See, you can do Zs that are open, okay? So, but if you find that a bit confusing, we'll do the C, okay? So let's do the C. Notice that's obtuse, this one's acute. So they're not the same size. So what we know is that 115 and the A add up to 180. So A is 180 minus 115, which is 65 degrees. Reason, co-interior angles, parallel lines. Now that we've worked out that A is 65, we can see that A and B make up a straight line. So whatever A is plus B, they equal 180. Now we know that A is 65, so B will be 180 minus 65, which is 115 degrees. And the reason is that we've got a straight line. Okay. Now, for some more questions here. With these, what we need to do when you see parallel lines, see if you can do C's, see if you can do Z's or F's, okay? Now, what I'm going to do, I think we've got a Z here. See, when I do the Z, I have to find that in the corners I have angles, and I do. So when I do that Z there, the G and the 50 are in the corner. So that means that G is equal to 50 degrees. And the reason, they're Z angles, but we call that alternate angles. Now I'm using the symbol for angle, it's a little angle symbol. And we must say parallel lines. Okay, we've also got a backward Z here. So I'm drawing a backward Z here. And inside the corners of the Z, I've got the B and the 60. So B is equal to 60 as well. Again, the same reason, alternate angles, and you have to say parallel lines. Now, I've worked out that B is 60, and we've worked out that G is 50, but we can see that all these three angles make up a 180-degree straight line. So I'm trying to work out this one, M. It will be 180 because it's a straight line minus the 60 minus 50. So this 50 and the M and the 60 make a straight line. So M will be 180 minus 60 and minus 50, which is 70 degrees. Reason for that is that we've got a straight line. Okay. All right. We're looking at E now. Looking for Z's or C's. Look, we've got a C here, but we don't know either one of those, so that's not going to work. So let me see if I can do a Z. And I can do a Z. And in the corners of the Z, I've got the Q and the 80. That means that the Q is equal to 80. And when you do the Z, you're going sort of from one side to the other side. They're called alternate angles. And you must say parallel lines. So we've worked out what Q is, and it's 80. Now, we're trying to work out P. Now, if I look at where P is, and I draw a line around there, we can see that P and the 80 make up a straight angle. So, to find P, a straight angle is 180, and if I take away this 80, I'm left with what P is, which will be 180 minus 80 is 100 degrees. The reason for this, why I can do it, is that I had a straight line. Okay, now F. This next one is a little bit tricky because both these angles are out here. So, what I can do is, I know I can't do anything with a C or a Z, there's nothing in there, but I'm going to do one of these Fs. Now, in the corner of this F, I've got the Y. That means that this angle here is also the same as that. Okay? So that angle that I've marked there is the same as this one. But if I look up here, I've got that this 89 is opposite with that bit of the F. So I'm going to say that this one up here is 89 degrees. And the reason that that's 89 is that I've got vertically, because it's opposite that one, but we say vertically opposite angles. So this one in here is 89. Now, because that 89 and that Y form the corner bits of the F, I can say that Y is also, this one's also equal to 89. It's in the same position. So the word for that is corresponding angles. And you have to say parallel lines. Now with this one, we're trying to work out X and Y and W. Now there's going to be 3 steps here. It is a little bit tricky. Okay, so first thing, let's just see, I can see something here that this X and 72 make up a straight line. So we can do that one first. So that X and 72 make up a straight line, which is 180 degrees. So X will be 180 minus 72. And if I work that out, I get 108 degrees. Now, the reason I'm allowed to say that is that I've got a straight line. So I'm going to write that X here is 108 degrees because I just worked it out. Now, I need to try and find what Y and W are. So I've got to try, I've got all these parallel lines. I have to try all my letters. Will a C work? Well, a C's got the 108, but not down there. A Z, it doesn't really work because I've got nothing in those positions. So I'm going to try a backwards F. So my backwards F gives me this one and this one. So if you look at your diagram, the X and the Y are in the same position on the backward F. If you were driving along, you'd see that on this corner, it's the same as on that corner there. So I've got that Y is equal to X. That Y is the same as that X, which is 108. So that means that the Y is 108. The reason is that they're in the same position, and the word for that is corresponding angles. And then we say parallel lines. Okay, now we're trying to find W. Let's see what letter we can do. The F does not work, a backwards F. A C will not work, but a backward Z does work. So what I'm doing there is this backward Z, okay? Backward Z puts the Y and the W in the corners. So I've got W equals Y. We know that Y is 108. And the reason for that one is where we're going from one side of the line to the other, it's alternate angles. And remember, you have to say parallel lines. Okay. Now look, the next problem is quite tricky, but it's not too bad, okay? Now, what we can do is, I've got here, I'm trying to work out this A. It's going to be a little bit, I can extend this line down here if I want. I might do that, or I can work out this bit and that bit, but I'm going to extend the line. So I'm going to extend all these lines down, these parallel lines. You're allowed to do that. Now I'm going to draw a Z, a backward Z in here. So if that bit there is 55, then so is that. And that's alternate, okay? I'm also going to do another backward Z here. So if this bit here is 45, so is that bit in there, it's 45. Remember, we're trying to work out that whole thing, and that whole thing was called A. So A is the addition of those two. It's 55 plus 45, which is 100. Now with this one, again, we draw lines. And what I need to do here, because I've got a corner, I'm going to draw another line parallel to the other two. So we're trying to work out this whole thing, which is N. Now let me see what types of angles. Girls, these are really harder questions, okay? So if you can't do them, don't worry too much about it. I'm trying to do a Z, but it leaves me nothing there. I might do a C here. So I've got a C here, and 60 and this one make up the corners of the C. But girls, notice that this is acute and this is obtuse. So this bit in here is 180 minus 60, which is 120. So that angle in there is 120. I've also got another C in here. So this and this make up the inside of my C. Notice this is acute and this is obtuse. So to work out that other missing bit, girls, this is a really hard question. I would do 180 minus 50, which is 130. So therefore N, which is the whole thing, is 120 plus 130, which is 250. Now girls, these are a level A, a level 5, like a really hard type question. So if you're struggling with those, don't worry about that too much, okay? And all these other questions that I just did on this page are like level 4s, all right? Now, in this last question, it's saying this is a little bit tricky too. It's asking us for the value of Y in the diagram. What I'm going to do, I'm going to see which of the letters I can draw, a C, a Z, or an F. It looks like I can do an F. So this bit in there equals that bit in there. It's just that this bottom bit is broken up into 2 bits. So I'm just drawing that F there. You can see the F drawn, okay? Might even turn it sideways. So there you can see the F. So the F, put the line down here. So this angle equals that angle. Now they're called corresponding angles. So what I can see is that 40 plus Y has to equal the 105. So 40 plus what equals 105? Well, to work that out, I would do 105 minus 40, which is 65 degrees. So my answer is 65 degrees. Okay, now I'm going back to this paper to question 3, and then I'm going to look at question 4. This was the exam that you did, I think, either in term 3 or 2. It was the last geometry paper that you did, okay? Now, it says, use the diagram below to answer questions 1 and 2. And it says, which of the following correctly shows the 2 parallel intervals? Now I can see that EF and GH are parallel. So I'm looking for EF and GH. So it's this one. EF is parallel to GH, so it's that one. Then it says, which of the following correctly shows the 2 perpendicular intervals? Perpendicular means you're looking for this symbol, this right angle symbol. So the only right angle symbol I can see is here, and it's between this interval or line and this line. So you notice I've got the right angle there. So I've got AB is parallel to GH. So I'm looking for AB is parallel to GH, and it's this one. Okay? Now, in the next question, now we've done some like this before. It says A, B, and C lie on a straight line. So all of that makes up a straight line. Find the size of angle EBC. So they want you to just find out that bit. Now, before we just find out that bit, let's just find out what X is first, okay? So in the answer, they want us to find out angle EBC, which is that. But before we do that, let's just work out what X is. So what I can see, we've got a straight line looking at the blue bit. So my straight line is 180 degrees. So 180, take away 40, because I can take that one away, and this one, take away 30. Now that's 110. So that means that these two x's make up 110. So to find one x, we do 110 divided by 2, which is 55. Okay? So I know that this x here is 55, and so is this one. It's also 55. So the angle I need is in red, and the angle that I need is called angle EBC. So because it's asking you to find the size of angle EBC. So it's made up, it's that big angle there. So it's made up of the x and the 30. So we know that x is 55. So angle EBC is the 55 there plus the 30 there, which is 85 degrees. Okay, now question C. It says that AB and CD are straight lines. Find the value of the pronumeral in the diagram. Reasons are not needed. We just have to show working on the diagram. Now, this question is a little bit tricky, but we need to sort of break it up into little parts. It is a higher level question, so you've just got to be very careful. Now, I like to cover parts up. So I can actually see, if I go from here, see AB is a straight line, which means that all the way around there, if I go from one point on A to the other point over there closer to B, that those three things add up to 180. Where I've got that red bit, that's all 180. So it looks like I know that that's 88 and this 65, so I can work out this missing bit in there. And that missing bit in there will be 180, because 180 degrees for the whole straight line, minus 88 minus 65. So that little bit in there is 180 minus 88 minus 65. I'm just going to work that out. And I get 27 degrees for that. Now, I also notice, see, I'm trying to work out B here, and it's all the way over there. But I also noticed that here, where I've just gone there, that I've got this whole blue thing that I'm tracing over here is a right angle. So I've got a right angle here, and part of that right angle is 65. So this missing bit, this little angle in here, is 90 take away 65, which is 25. Now, I know this is getting a little bit tricky. So this bit in here is 25. Actually, I don't need that. I don't really need to do that. But you can do it if you want. So that bit in there is 25. So that's 25. So I'm trying to work out B. Now B and all of this plus that little bit there makes up a straight line. Girls, this is quite tricky. So because they all make up a straight line from B all the way across there, I get that little b is 180 minus, now I could take away the 25, got to take away that bit, then I've got to take away that bit, and then I've got to take away this little red bit, which is 27, and the answer that I will get is 53 degrees. So just showing that again, I've got that B is 180 because I've got a whole straight line here, minus this 25, minus that 65, minus that 27, and that gives me 53 degrees. Actually, girls, I think it's 63 degrees when you do that on your calculator. So just be careful with your calculator. Okay. Okay, now for question 4. Okay, we're going to go through that. Angle X is acute and angle Y, so angle X is acute. Just call this X. And angle Y is obtuse. So I've just drawn those. And angle Z is the sum of angle X and angle Y. So Fiona thinks, so Z will be the sum, these two angles added together. But remember, Y can be, because it's obtuse, it goes anywhere from, see, an obtuse angle is bigger than 90, but smaller than 180. So it's from 90 to 180, but it doesn't include 90 and 180. And an acute angle is from 0 to 90, but it's got to be bigger than 0 and it's got to be less than 90. Okay? So I suppose you could really say that your acute angle goes anywhere from 1 to 89, and your obtuse angle will go anywhere from 91 to 179. Okay? Now, Fiona thinks that Z can be also an obtuse angle. Now, let's have a look. If I add two angles together, let's see. If I start off here, I've got, I just got to be careful here. So I'm going to do it the other way. Okay, here I've got an obtuse angle, and here I'll put next to it an acute angle. So if I look at, so here I've got definitely an obtuse angle. Here I've definitely got a small acute angle, and I can see that my resulting angle, which is Z, which is the big one in red, is still obtuse. Now, it says, is she correct? You must support your answer with examples and calculations. Let's just give an example. As long as Y is bigger than 91 or bigger than 90, so Y could be 100 and X could be 30. That's an acute angle, that's an obtuse, and that might give you an example, a total of 130. See, this is an obtuse, this is acute, and this is still an obtuse angle. Okay? So Fiona thinks that Z, the overall angle, can be obtuse. Yes, that's correct, if I add an obtuse and an acute angle. Now let's see if we can end up with a straight line. I'm just going to draw a straight line, and look, here is an acute angle and here is an obtuse angle. So I can end up with a straight line with an acute angle and an obtuse angle. Let's just make up some numbers. Let's pretend that that's 40, and I'll just say, right, this one's 140. So 140 plus 40, yes, that's 180, which is a straight angle. So that works. I can end up with, if I do an obtuse and an acute angle, I can end up with a straight angle. Now, the last one, she thinks that the answer could also be a reflex. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do a really big obtuse angle and draw an acute angle as well. Now let's say this obtuse one is 160 and this acute one might be 70. So look at my overall angle. When I add the two together, I end up with a reflex angle. So I can have 160 plus 70 gives me 230 degrees, and that's definitely a reflex angle. So therefore, Fiona is correct. Yes, she is correct. But if you just write yes, you won't get a mark. You need to show that by adding an obtuse angle and an acute angle that you still get obtuse. Now remember, obtuse will be anywhere from 91 to 179. Here I've added an obtuse angle of 140 to an acute angle of 40, and I've gotten I got 180 is my answer. That's a straight angle. And here within a bigger obtuse angle of 160, if I add 70, which is still acute, I get 230, which is a reflex angle. So I'm just going to draw up here what a reflex angle is. Remember, a reflex angle is like that, and it's anything bigger than 180, so it's from 181 up to 360, but we don't include 360, so the reflex will be from 181 to 359. Okay? Now, this last question is quite tricky. I will go through it for those of you that want it explained. Now it says, what is the size of the reflex angle formed by the hands of a clock at 9:30? Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to divide this clock up into quarters. Now we know that the whole way around is 360 degrees because it's a revolution. But if I break the clock up into quarters, then each angle here is 90 degrees. So the angle between the 9 and the 6 is 90 degrees. So I've got 90 degrees so far. Now, if I just look here, or even over here, these are all equally spaced. Now, if that whole thing there is 90, then each of these angles in between is 90 divided by 3, which is 30. So each of these little angles, and even down here, each of these angles are all 30. Okay? Which means that that's 30, and so's that, and so's this one here. It's also 30. Okay? Now, I'm going to draw my clock again. Now, I've got my 9 and my 10 and my 11 and my 12. Now, what we said was that this is 90 and this here is 30. But I can see that my little hour hand is halfway between. See, at 9:30, your little hour hand is exactly halfway between the 9 and the 10. So if this whole thing's 30, then I need to do 30 divided by 2. I've got 15 degrees. So this is what I've got. This angle in here is 90 plus 15, which is 105. Now that's the obtuse angle between the hands of the clock. The question wants me to find this reflex angle. So my reflex angle is 360, because the two of them make a full circle. 360 take away 105, which is 255 degrees. Now girls, that is the end of this paper. I'll just show you what we've done so far. Now, in class on Friday, we went through all of this. Okay, now you should have that with you. Okay, if anyone wasn't here, just stop your screen and go through these questions. Okay, we also did this in class on Friday, where we worked out the value of all the pronumerals giving reasons. Okay, and we worked out the supplement of the angle. Also in class, we did this page, the parallel line theorems. Okay, so we worked out what corresponding angles were, which are like those F angles. We also looked at alternate angles, which were like those Z angles, where the corners of the Z were the same. And we looked at co-interior angles. Now they're not the same size because you can clearly see that C is the angles that form the C. The C and the F, one's obtuse and one's acute, so they're not the same size, but the two of them add up to 180, and they are C angles or co-interior angles. Okay, and in this video, also in class, we did these questions, defining these, whether they were alternate, co-interior, corresponding, etc. So we also did this page of the worksheet in class and worked out the sizes of all of these angles in class. Now, if you weren't here, you can just pause the video and have a look at these. Okay, so now this whole geometry booklet, we did all of this today in this video. So all of this geometry booklet is now completed. And that will be enough for your geometry revision. But you also did receive last year's geometry test, which already has worked solutions. Okay? So thanks, girls.